Uh, oh, here we go. I have some amazing people joining me here today, and I'm so excited that I get to share them with you. And these are tutors that are using blogging inside of their business so that they can get found. Now, the cool part is they all have a different story, and they're all also repurposing their content in a different way. And this is really fun to get to hear all of these different things that people are doing with blogging. So, Suzanne Davis is our blogging expert in the house. Woo woo! So glad to have her in our community and sharing all of her knowledge with everybody about blogging. Suzanne decided to do blogging. I think for her it was like that idea that okay, I'm a writing coach, so possibly blogging could be my thing. And that's the thing, like you got to find what's good for you. So if you feel like you're good at writing, start with there. Right? If you feel like you're good with speaking, podcasting could be good. If you feel like you're good on video, then YouTube can be fantastic, right? You start where your strengths are, and then you continue to add to that. And you're going to hear how these tutors have specifically gotten to where they are today. So I'm so excited. I'm going to kind of go around and have everybody introduce themselves and share what interested you and intrigued you about blogging in the first place. So let's start with Suzanne. Suzanne, who are you and why did blogging intrigue you?
Okay. For people who don't know me, I'm Suzanne Davis, and my tutoring business is really academic writing coaching. So I help people with their academic writing, also with personal statements and scholarship essays. So I was drawn to blogging because I felt like, well, if I write a lot, this is
That'd be
gotta be
easy,
easy,
right?
right?
And then I discovered that my writing style, I had to rethink, I had to relearn. But because it's a craft like any other piece of writing, and I had to learn it, that really kept me more and more interested and intrigued.
I love it. I love it. Thank you for sharing. And we got Darcy in the house.
Hi, I'm Darcy, and I guess that I've always wanted to be an author. And I thought now that I have a website, I should put something on there that makes me look like I know what I'm talking about, and just makes me have a more robust website. So I wrote some blogs. I really didn't have a clue what I was doing, but I just wrote some and published them.
I love it.
And then later I started, learning some stuff from Suzanne, and I've learned a lot
Yes.
since then.
And I think that's the real important thing in the beginning. You just need to get started, but there's obviously things that are going to help you that you'll learn over time that can help you get found more and get you on page one of Google and all of those kinds of fun things that, they allow you to get found by a greater audience. Versus just the people that you know directly. So yeah, it's really really a great area to continue to add value. And I love that you started it because you kind of wanted to be seen more. It sounds like as an expert.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. And we've got Maria. Maria, tell everybody who you are.
Hi, I'm Maria Geffers, and my company is Career and College Counselors. And our main mission is to help students find the right major, the right career first, then the right major, then the college, graduate in 4 years with the least amount of money out of pocket. And how I got involved with blogging was first with you, Joanne, in eons ago. And then I was kind of playing around with it. And then when Suzanne really started zeroing in and became the master, I learned so much from her. And it just expanded what I knew. And then I felt more and more comfortable doing it. So it's because of the two of you that I was started.
Oh, I love
Mm-hmm.
it. And Justine, share a little bit about who you are.
Okay, my name's Justine Morelli, and I focus on reading for kids K through 8, struggling readers. And how I started with blogging was when I was still teaching. I Googled, what other things can teachers do besides teaching? And I read an article by a retired teacher who said you can write, And she mentioned Hub Pages. So that's where I started on this platform called Hub Pages. And I was having a lot of fun, just, making it a hobby and just writing about whatever I wanted. And then, and I also then at one point, a friend suggested I start writing on Medium. So I did that too. And those kind of essays are a little bit more like a personal essay. And also I had fun doing that. And then eventually I, became an online tutor, and I was really attracted to the title, blogging to get found. I really liked that. So that's how I got here.
Yeah, and for those of you who do not know what blogging to get found is, that's actually Suzanne's course that she created to help tutors to do exactly that. You write content that would be interesting for your ideal client, and you use SEO keywords, which is search engine optimization, so that you can get on that first page of Google. And I think this is, kind of untapped territory for a lot of tutors. A lot of tutors are not blogging to get found. They would rather go on to sites like Wyzant, and they're okay with paying, that 25%, that they're going to take, and all of that kind of stuff. And while that seems great, I don't know about you, but I'd rather keep the whole shebang for myself. So I am able to charge what I feel like I need to charge for my services, and am able to get paid. So blogging is definitely a way to do that. And I have tapped into all of the different strategies for getting found online and increasing your online presence. And this is definitely one thing that you can do, because nobody wants you to keep posting that you're taking students right now. It's like you need to add value, and people need to see you over time. People do like to follow you. People like to research you. Some people will do all of their research in one night, and they'll be like typing in your name and what it is that you tutor. And if they find a bunch of blog posts you've been on, podcasts that you've been on, they find videos that you've been featured in, they're going to take the time to take a look at that, and it's going to elevate your expertise because of that. And that's exactly what we want, because we want you to have that level of expertise in other people's eyes, so that you can get paid the amount of money that you want to get paid. So before you started blogging, what were some of the fears that you guys experienced? I know, Suzanne, you talk about this a lot, some of those fears. What were some of the fears that you had?
That nobody would want to read me or read me was, I would say, the biggest thing. And in the beginning, to be honest, that was really hard to get people to read me. I remember begging, relatives and things like that. Hey, I just wrote this new blog post. And, I'm sure they really wanted to read about, how to learn academic vocabulary. So yeah, that was definitely a fear. And I carried that for a couple of months, until I started feeling like, oh, wait, people are reading this, and I'm able to get these out, and see.
Yeah. Yeah, and that is a big fear. I remember you saying, like, you couldn't even get your brother to read your own book.
I don't think he does at all, but he's proud of me at least.
Yeah, and that's okay. Like, in the beginning, you guys, you're going to have a low readership. But if you think about it, isn't that a good thing? Because you're just getting started, right? You're getting started with learning, first getting into the habit of writing, right? And then after that, you continue to improve your writing. So a lot of us want to think that, oh, the very first thing that I write is the best thing ever. But a lot of times there's revising and these things that need to happen, and, spacing on our blogs, and adding images, and these after effects that really make everything pop, so that people want to read what it is that you have. It takes time to learn that, and that's okay. You can still get started, and people like to see that kind of growth as they look at the different content. So you don't ever have to feel like you have to be perfect the very first time that you blog. And certainly nobody who is sitting right now on this Zoom right now with us is anywhere at that point where they feel like, yeah, everything I ever did was perfect, right? So it's always a learning process and a learning curve. Darcy, did you have any fears before you started blogging?
I sometimes what I worry about is that I will write something and somebody will disagree with me or say, well, this isn't right.
Right. Yeah. And you know what? That's okay. Like, if people are disagreeing with you, not everybody is going to disagree with you. So I think that's really an important one because when people disagree with you, then you know you're getting found. Right? Some people are just not nice, and that's fine, but you're getting found. Like, how many more people are saying nice things about what it is that you're doing and offering people versus the negative? Sometimes we can allow those one or two comments to really sting us really hard. I've been there. It still happens to me. And I always have to remind myself of how many people are benefiting in a positive way because of what I'm writing or what I'm saying, right? Versus thinking about all the people that have want to disagree with me or have something different to say. Different opinions are absolutely fine. Sometimes people are not very nice about sharing those different opinions, and we just have to whenever that happens, you just look at that and you just say, I am getting found. Yay. Like, and that's the point. Blogging to get found. And the more people that find you, the more people that are going to hire you because they know that you exist. Because that's our number one problem we have as tutors. It is not that we're not great at what we do, it's that not enough people know that we do it. Maria, did you have any fears before you started?
Oh, of course, a ton. Every time you step out into something, it gets a little crazy. As a retired teacher who's, English and gifted teacher, I was always worried about number one, that I really didn't have anything of interest to say to anyone. And number two, everyone would be critiquing what I was writing. Oh, look at her. She's teacher. And of course, people always pick on your weaknesses. That seems to be a tendency. But after a while, it's just like I always equate it to just like your first couple of classes when you're teaching. The first time you walk into a classroom, it's a little more difficult. And as you go through it and become more experienced, and of course, with knowledge that you guys have given us, you become more confident and you become more confident that what you have to say is of value to people because not everyone knows your field. You are the expert in your field. And I think that's something that I had to cultivate over the years is that I do know what I'm talking about. I do have something to offer. So just putting your words out in print and then sending that baby out into the world, can be a little scary. So, but just constantly doing it and putting it out there is really the way to go. You become more confident in who you are and what value you have to offer people, because I think we all have value, and sharing. So,
Yeah. I still fear you guys. I fear the grammar police. Because blogging is a different kind of writing. You don't necessarily have to write in a way where it is like academic, where, it's I've found my voice and can express it in a certain way, but some people are still expecting that academic kind of voice, or maybe I didn't notice like one mistake that I made, or those kinds of things. Those The grammar police is definitely out there, and just know that they're doing their job. So here's how you handle the grammar police, guys. It is like you have your own personal editor. They find the mistakes, you go and fix them right away, and
yeah,
nobody else knows that they're there.
it's true.
What?
Yes, it's
It's
true.
awesome. So the grammar police can now be turned into your best friends, and you can say, thank you so much for catching that. I totally missed it. You are a lifesaver. And when you just treat them with the biggest kindness that you can, they'll keep working for you for free. It's amazing. Now, I'm not saying like make mistakes on purpose,
Right.
clearly. Like, you want to have your best work out there. You want to make sure that you're editing your piece. I'm not saying skip that process and just go right to publish, but just know that those people are actually on your side. They're not against you. It doesn't matter how they come at it. Always look at it that way. Even if it seems like a really cruddy kind of comment that they're making, don't look at it that
Mhm.
way. Just look at it as, oh my gosh, they are a godsend. And I'm so glad they caught that. Because guess what? Most people aren't going to read it at first. right? They're going to find it over time. And so now it's totally fixed and way to go. I love it. Awesome. Justine, did you have any fears as you got started in this?
Well, when I got started, yeah, I mean, I'm sure I had a lot of fears, but I was also really excited. And, that I was like writing and blogging. I thought that was so cool. So I had a lot of excitement, but I have to say, I kind of probably have developed more fears as I go, right? Because now it's like, yeah. And one of my fears that I have right now is like, is this just stupid? Like, does anyone care? And because I've tried different things. I try to write, like one of Suzanne's suggestions is write interesting content or good content, and I've done that. And those articles I'm more proud of, but I've also done ones that are more, I think, SEO driven. And I'm not always that proud of those. And so then I fear like being judged for writing, something that's not good enough quality, really. So yeah, I have ongoing fears all the time.
And as you said, those fears sometimes grow, some disappear. You realize it's not so bad, it's not so scary. I haven't heard you guys though talk about some of the fears that I hear other people say, but maybe you have them and it wasn't the first thing that came to your mind. But the fear of like imposter syndrome, does that ever come up for you guys? Like people are going to be like, and you kind of talked about it a little bit, Darcy, that somebody's going to be like disagree with you, or
Yeah,
do you ever feel like that though? Like, who am I to
yeah,
kind of
that's
talk on
kind of
this?
what I mean. Because what if somebody gets on and says she isn't really an expert on this? She she doesn't know what she's talking about, or whatever.
And you know
That's
what? There are different camps
impossible.
too, especially in our reading world. Oh my gosh. We
Yeah,
are driven by two different camps of people when it comes to
It's
reading
true.
and how reading should be taught. And I feel like we just both have to agree to disagree and just say, look, you're doing what you feel is best for children. I'm doing what I feel is best for children. And at the end of the day, all of the children are increasing their skills because they have these different approaches to be able to help them. Right? And so that's I think sometimes can be scary because sometimes that other side of the camp will come after us, right?
Yeah.
And and that's okay. Like you just have to realize that they are there and their main motivation isn't really to make you lesser in any way. Their main motivation is they really truly care about what's best for kids. And sometimes they just don't realize how hurtful some of the things they can say can be. Right.
Right.
And so there's obviously a professional way to be able to handle it and a non professional way. And if in response you have a professional way that you've handled the comment, people are going to respect you for that. They're going to look at how that person like commented and how you commented and be like, hmm, that's an interesting character over there, that one. And they're not talking about you, right? Like, all right. But it's definitely not going to go against you. I mean, if you're like, look, there are different ways, you're right, to be able to teach reading. And
Right.
thank goodness that there are all these different ways that we can teach reading and that there isn't just one right way because that's where success comes from with our kids. Sometimes one strategy doesn't work, but another does. And so, we don't need to tear each other apart just to make ourselves feel better. We can support each other in how we're going about it. So that's all really good. I think the other thing too that kind of comes on up a lot of times is people saying like, I'm not really a writer. Did all of you guys kind of feel like a writer from the beginning? Like you felt like that was definitely your strength? Look at Suzanne's like, no. Tell us more because you are, and I think this is so important for people to hear because you are a academic writing tutor, coach, right? So why did you have that fear that like you just weren't a good enough writer to do this?
Well, part of it's my childhood
Yeah.
because way back when I was in third grade, I had a teacher who said I couldn't write, like, and I'd never be able to write. I'd never go to college and all of those things. And so I heard comments like that from other teachers through the years. And the way I coped was I felt like me writing is an act of rebellion. Like, oh, you tell me I can't do that. Guess what? I'm going to do it. So that helped getting through there. And then in college, everything changed. I had somebody who really encouraged me in academic writing, and that changed. So I felt like, great, I'm a great academic writer. And I still feel really confident about academic writing. But then blogging came around and I felt like, ooh, I'm not sure I'm going to be good at this type of writing because it's very different. I mean, I like learning different crafts, and different genres of writing. But when you've been a little successful in one area, you're kind of a little more I think, fearful to go into another area because you're like, ooh, I've got to learn this all over again. And am I going to be as good? So yeah, I've always kind of wrestled with the I'm not a good writer syndrome, despite teaching it as an academic writing tutor.
Yeah. And Darcy, you're kind of shaking your head before too, that you did you go through that too? Like thinking that maybe you weren't a good enough writer specifically for this?
Yeah, I've always wanted to be a writer, but I don't know if it's, and I'm not very good at the grammar part and the spelling part. But nowadays we have spell checkers, so that
So what are
helps.
your favorite tools then for that?
I do have the free Grammarly on my, and that's something that Suzanne told me about. I mean, I knew Grammarly existed, but I hadn't tried it until she encouraged me to do that.
Yeah. There's even an app on your phone for Grammarly too. So I don't know what I would do without Grammarly, you guys. I really don't know what I would do. Like I would have the worst writing. It's like my editing pal. I have the paid version of it, and both versions are really, really good. So I would definitely highly suggest people get Grammarly. You know what's really cool is I feel like even when you go onto like social media, it finds all of your mistakes as well that you have. And then when you're communicating back and forth with people, you can fix it. Like reread it, make sure it makes sense, fix any of the errors it's suggesting. Some of the errors, some of their suggestions, you have to know, will that sound right? Or will it not sound right? You have to go through that, right? So it's not like Grammarly is going to do all of the editing for you. It's going to give you some suggestions, and then you have to decide which ones are you going to take, and then you take them. And I think that's really important. Like I typically don't capitalize my I, and I don't put question marks. I know it's a problem for me. But Grammarly catches it every time. Thank you, Grammarly. And then I fix it. So it's no big deal. And then you have the little typing errors, right, that you make as you're just like typing really, really quick. Just typing errors, not spelling errors because you know how to spell the word. It's just you typed it incorrectly and maybe there was an autocorrect or something, right? So definitely reread all of your stuff and use tools like that to be able to help you out.
If I can add,
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, if I can add something, I think for me, you were talking about the imposter syndrome and everything. I was never like Suzanne. I never really had a good support when I was in elementary school. And, once you get that label, you're kind of done, if you will. That kind of follows you through. But I think some of when we're trying to communicate on paper, when you're blogging, I think you have to remember who are you writing to? We're writing to, I'm writing to parents who are desperately looking for information. So they're not going to go through your blog with a fine tooth comb. They are looking for information. And that's what I give them. And I think that kind of takes some of the pressure off, that it doesn't have to be a perfect 3-paragraph, beautifully done. And I think, I think sometimes we get too bogged down. I know I do as a teacher, everything has to be like you're presenting a paper, and it's not. It's a conversation. I look at it as a conversation that's happening on paper, and helping people understand what they're looking for, the answers that they're looking for. And I think that relieves a lot of pressure on us as bloggers as online tutor teachers. And I find that like more releasing freedom, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I totally agree with you on that. And it's so great to be able to even come together, I feel like, as a community and support each other. Do you guys ever read each other's blog posts and comment on them? Justine's like, yep, sure do.
Yeah, like because I just read Darcy's the other day, and and I was like, oh wow, that was really good. I need to, up my game here. Because I really liked your blog, Darcy.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I think that's the cool thing is we can all be supportive of each other as we go through this process and just know that it is a different type of writing. It's very conversational. So the way I don't use big, large words that I wouldn't use if I weren't talking to you in person. I don't have to sound academic. I don't have to, in order to sound like an expert, right? A lot of people like mix that part up. They're like, oh, but I have to use the words in order to sound like an expert. I go, okay, well, you can use the words, but you just need to make sure that everybody else understands what you mean when you use
Right.
it.
Yeah.
Like if you've got the time to be able to explain it efficiently and very quickly, then do that. Like take the time to do that. Use that. It's kind of like bridge, right? So that you can compare it to something that they would know and make it easier for them. Like when I talk about the difference between like phonemic awareness and phonics, I say it's kind of like when somebody turns the light off, then I'm working on my phonemic awareness skills because I'm not looking at the letters. I have to really rely on my hearing of the sounds and be able to blend them. But as soon as I turn those lights on and am looking at the letters, I'm now working on phonics. So if you have those fun different ways to kind of explain those academic words, people will appreciate that and they'll be like, "Wow, you write in such a way that I actually understand what you're saying."
Right.
And that's really, really cool. A lot of times, too, people, when they find your blog, they'll be like, I was reading your blog and I realized you are the person that needs to work with my child. And I know, Suzanne, you got found for a really long time. You still get found for your blog. It's on page one of lots of different keywords and all of that. And you have students from all over the world who keep finding you. If somebody told you that tomorrow, Suzanne, you can no longer blog, how would you feel?
I don't know. I've never considered it.
Well, what if they
I
said
would
we're going
feel
to take
really
all of the blogs
discouraged.
down that you have too? We're going to take away all of the blog posts that you've ever written and you can't blog anymore.
Okay, I would recover from the taking away all the blogs I've ever written because I could write again. But being told I could never write again, I don't know. I'm kind of obstinate. I might try and continue writing because I'm a rebellious person, just a quiet, rebellious person.
You do get a lot of traffic from your blogs too.
Yes, and I've gotten a lot of schools, classrooms, teachers that link back to me. Like the one blog post, some student writes me and she's like, "Can I have permission to cite this blog post and what you've written here?" And I'm like, "Okay," and then I know, okay, I really hit my target audience there. And so, yes, I've gotten found by people finding me on Pinterest directly, or finding me on Pinterest and then, putting me in the classroom. Like I think a lot of Google Classroom accounts would keep linking back to me. I suddenly wound up with like one blog post with like 200 and some backlinks.
Wow.
Like,
Nice.
Where does that come from? And there's all these ones from different schools. So that was a way that I got found. And I write very readable blog posts. I don't try and sound like an academic. And those are the ones that teachers were sending people to.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's your ideal client, and that's beautiful because if you were to have just approached that teacher in the classroom and said, "Hey, so I'm doing some writing tutoring for any of your kids that struggle. Would you suggest me?" It would be a very awkward experience for everybody, right?
Exactly.
But if they are finding value in your content and sharing that with their students, and even more eyeballs are getting on it, then it's kind of like a back door into more people knowing about who you are, what it is that you do, and how you can help.
Exactly. You know, you can make a huge difference writing one blog post and publishing it, because years later, somebody else might read that and that might change their whole writing, so it's always out there, and it always has the power to change people's lives. I love that about writing, and you can really feel that and see it in blogging.
Yeah, yeah. Now, each of you guys does something different with your blog. Um, and I think this is so, so cool. Justine, you were going through your master's and you were taking the information you were learning in your master's and then writing blog posts about it. Is that correct?
That's Darcy, I'm pretty sure.
Oh,
That's
that's
Darcy.
Darcy. That's Darcy. I mixed you guys up.
Yeah.
Darcy, that was you.
Yeah, I think that was me.
Tell us about that.
So I wrote my last blog post was on my research paper, and so I just had to rewrite sort of what I learned in my research paper for my blog.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't hard to, I mean, I had all the information, but the problem was when I first wrote it, I took it over to the Hemingway app that Suzanne told us about. And it was like, it was way too high of a grade. It was hard to read. And I thought probably, I forget what grade level. It was like 8th grade or above. And I want to write for 5th grade or below, as far as readability and everything. So that took me, I had to rewrite. I had to just figure it out, how to shorten the sentences and everything.
Yeah, exactly. So it's shortening sentences will bring the readability down, using words that are less some of those like fun tier 2 words that we can be using in our writing, we need to kind of take on out and just use the regular speaking talk that we would use when we're talking to someone, and that definitely helps to be able to do that. And for those of you guys who are like, what's readability and why would you write it at such a low level? Well, the research shows that most people are reading at a 5th grade level or below on average.
And when I'm writing to parents of dyslexic kids, that's who I'm writing to.
Yeah, and they may have dyslexia too.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, they're likely to have some reading issues as well. So I don't want to be writing something that's really hard to read.
But even if you're writing, let's say that you are a college, you're going after college level students or high school students, it does not hurt you to write in simpler text for people to understand it, because whenever people start reading about something that they don't know about, they have a lower readability. Right? Like if somebody were to throw in for me, like I feel like I could read at a college level, but if you give me a college level book about how to be a doctor, I probably don't have a college level ability to understand that text, right? So when we don't have that expertise, we automatically decrease what our readability level is. So it's don't think of it as like it's kind of dumbing down what you're saying. It's making it so that anybody who reads it can understand it. Right. And I think that's really the important thing there. And that's what you want. You want to come across like I want to come across as the girl next door that you could just hire to be able to help your kid, and they're just going to really get along with your kid, and it's going to be a beautiful situation.
Yeah. And it was neat to write about that because, you spend a lot of time writing a research paper and then probably nobody except your teacher reads it. Right. So I thought, well, now all other people will hear what I learned.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that. What a great opportunity. And I even wrote my very first book based off of my blog. So it was How to Become a Better Reader in 30 Days. And I wrote the entire book as my blog. I took all of those posts and I turned them into a book and I started selling it. And
Hmm.
so there's opportunities too, like different opportunities and things that you can do to monetize your blog writing. I even took it to different conferences that I spoke at, in-person conferences, and sold my books. There's book tables of people that are willing to sell the books for you. You just give them copies of the book and then they give you a percentage of the money, and there you go. It's really, really awesome. So you don't even have to buy your own table at a conference. So there's lots of different things you can do. Now, Maria, your blog post, your blogs and your podcasts, they kind of mix together. Tell us about that.
Well, yeah, as a teacher of the gifted, I'd always been trained as, you need to have encompass all modalities of learning. So that is something that I really am very passionate about. So my blog sometimes actually drives my podcast video, if you will, so that I cross pollinate, if you will. If I have a podcast, I will take that podcast and put it into a blog and then link back, and you guys have taught me this craziness, and then link it back to my YouTube channel. And then I also use the blog and send it out as an email, so that links back to my website. So that's what I really do cross pollinate. And it is amazing. You once you get over that whole fear of standing out there and becoming who you are, because you want to be the expert. I remember the first time, Joanne, you had someone, and I can't remember the gentleman's name. He was in England. He was kind of a rock singer. And I was saying, and you were promoting, you should be out there on you to the class, you should be out there on YouTube. And I said, oh, I don't think I really want to do that. And he just said, oh, after the first couple of times, you can do it. And I thought, he's absolutely right. The first couple of times. So I do cross pollinate. Sometimes the blog becomes a podcast. Sometimes the podcast becomes a blog. And then I put it on Instagram as well. So I multi use it, and I love it because it's creative. For me, it gives me that opportunity of being creative, thinking differently, and it satisfies all of my modality, if you will, the speaking, the listening, the writing, and then that type of thing. So yeah, I love what has evolved into my system, if you will.
Yeah.
It's a great system, guys. You should all use it,
But don't start with all of them at once, because that will drive
No,
you
no,
absolutely
no.
nuts. It
No,
definitely helps. Start with one. Start with
it's
one.
evolved. It's
Yes, it's
evolved.
evolved over time. I know mine has totally evolved over time too. I started with video and blogging, and recently I've been getting a lot more into the podcasting. I'll take these videos and I repurpose them on my podcast for people to hear as well. So that all those different modalities can get access to the information. A lot of people were telling me this, you guys, and this was scaring me a little bit. They're like, yeah, I listen to your YouTube channel while I'm driving. And I think, oh, that seems dangerous. And so I was like, I really should like repurpose these into podcasts so people can listen to them there. They don't ever feel like they have to look at the screen or do anything like that while they're driving. So for all of your safety, everybody, you can check out my podcast as well. It's the Online Tutor Business Podcast, and you'll be able to find lots of information. I wasn't even planning on adding that on in there today, but feel free, because today is all about that whole blogging idea and blogging to get found. And today is the day that Suzanne's course actually goes live. She only holds this course 2 times a year, you guys, okay? And she also couples that with a 30-day blogging challenge, because one of the biggest challenges people have is, I don't feel like I can write enough. Because really, you need to, in order to get found today, it's not about those short little blog posts that work anymore. You need to have content, right? So $1,000, $1,000, 1,000 words or more, 2,000 words. That's what is really going to help you to be found more. And so she takes you through this fun, simple process where you just write for 10 minutes a day to help you just getting started with the whole writing process. And she does that through that 30-day blogging challenge. And anyone who joins the course will get access to that challenge so that you feel like you're guided every step of the way and you are not kind of like left to, hang and dry. You're going to be guided by an amazing community of people that are like, oh, yeah, I've been blogging for a while now. You're just getting started? Cool. And then you have other people like, yeah, I'm just getting started too. And like, oh, awesome. You're just getting started. I'm just getting started. And that's great. It's a great community to really
Mhm.
surround yourself with because then you don't have to worry about your stuff not getting found anymore and nobody reading it because the other people that are blogging with you, they will read it with you. Like they're going to be excited for you and support you because that is what we do inside of our community, right? We care about supporting each other. It's the people in my community are like the most, I swear, I don't know how you guys find me, but you are the most incredible people out there. Like you literally want to be able to help everybody else and be supportive and not be, competitive. While we do have some competitive edges we throw on in there for fun, um I think that's so cool that everybody is so willing to help each other out, which is awesome. Now, each of you guys has gotten the opportunity to benefit working with Suzanne. You've either been in her mastermind or took the blogging course. So I'm going to kind of go around for each of you. Darcy, have you taken the blogging course or been part of the mastermind or both?
I've just been in the mastermind. I think I joined the mastermind the last time she was giving the class.
Okay.
I was kind of confused about which one I was like, what? I, because she would talk about both. I was confused at first. So then I realized, okay, I'm not in the class. I'm only in the mastermind.
And there is
Yeah.
a difference for those of you that might be in the same position. There is a difference. So, inside of the Insider Secrets Club, we want to continue to support you with creating content. So, we have a blogging mastermind where you blog with other people. We have a video mastermind. We have an Instagram mastermind. So, you're involved. Now, these tutors also have their own courses where they actually go from beginning to end explaining what all the different pieces and all of that are. So it does really help to go through the courses so that you understand what are all of the elements, how do they play with each other, how can I make them work, what do they mean, the breakdown of the terminology, all that great stuff, and be able to get so much more out of your blogging experience. Whereas a lot of times with a mastermind, it's about continuing to motivate you to be consistent because that is the biggest problem we have, right? We get busy in our tutoring businesses and then we forget to take that time to continue to put the word out there about our business in a way that's going to help and serve people and not be pushy and salesy, right? So, those are the differences. So, the courses are that here's how you do it, step 1, step 2, step 3. Let's take some of the terminology. Let's make it understandable for you so that you can go through the process and be successful. How else would you describe it, Suzanne, as you talk about the difference between the mastermind and the course?
Well, I definitely would say the course takes you through like beginning to end, like what you need to know. From how do you find topics to how do you promote your blog, right? So it's all of that. Plus, it has that blogging challenge, which one of the cool things here is that Justine was one of the winners of the challenge last time. So that's different because people are writing together, they're keeping track of their words, and they're trying to reach a certain goal, right? And while I do some teaching with the blogging mastermind, it's never that beginning to end. It's maybe like, here, let's focus on a particular area. And then it's also the accountability. Like, okay, hey, what are you doing? How are you working on your blog? What have you accomplished, and that piece of it. So I would say it's very different, although I probably have a similar approach in both of these.
I know you give away like a free planner too for people to plan out their content that they're going to write so that the last thing in the world that they're sitting there and wondering is what do I write about? They always know what they're going to write about because they have already brainstormed and have all those ideas down. So that is another bonus that's added inside of there. And great question just came in from Facebook. Are there live calls or is it just videos? It is both. So you get the
Right.
video support, which, by the way, because things online change a lot, the course actually changes each time too. So Suzanne actually goes through and she revamps the course every single time to make sure that everything that's taught in that course is relevant today. And then she has the live calls as well. And how many weeks is it?
It's 6 weeks.
6 weeks.
Yes, it's 6 weeks, but the challenge is 30 days.
Yep.
So there's like 2 extra weeks that help you really with when you finish the challenge, kind of getting it to that I'm going to publish and share it.
Yeah.
Right. So that works out really well. And yes, I always do want to do the live calls because things do change. One example is like when I first started, the words that you needed, like the minimum word count was like 700 to 1,000. And that has changed over time. Right. And so different things that I taught as far as like where you can be putting your places, where you can be posting your blog posts to get found. I used to have a bigger Pinterest focus.
Right.
But that changed as Pinterest changed.
Right.
So that's why I always do those live calls.
Yeah. And I think that's so helpful for people and anybody who gets started today before 1:00 p.m. CST or Central Time will get a 30-minute bonus session with Suzanne, and where she is going to actually take a look at your specific writing and help you with it. So that is an awesome, incredible gift that she's giving for anybody who gets started. So I love that it's got both components too. I feel like when it comes to supporting people with writing, nothing is more supportive than getting a group of people together to actually be a part of that writing process and take a look at the writing and all of those kinds of things. So, and the accountability too, because it's really easy to say that we're going to write and then not write. Really easy. It is really easy to put it off.
I like the challenge because I think people prove themselves wrong. They prove that they can write more than they ever thought they could, and just accomplish these blog posts, right? And I love that. It's not me saying, hey, you can do this just through me. It's they prove it to themselves, by winning the challenge. And most people who take the course actually win the challenge.
Yeah, I know. That always surprises me. I'm like, again, like almost everybody like made that goal and they achieved it. That's so incredible. I think they even end up surprising themselves as well that they were able to do it. And so it's really, really awesome. And Maria, I think have you been part of the course and the mastermind?
Yes. Yeah.
And what was your experience as you went through both of those?
The course is very, gives you the structure, if you will. You have very structure. And then the mastermind gives you that you can almost like add on to it. But the course gives you the structure, which is so important, the model. We're talking education. It's the model that you're using. And then the mastermind then allows you to, through practice, dress make it yours and dress it. And the accountability, which is always a piece in your, Joanne, in your courses is brutal sometimes.
Oh no.
But in as much as it is, because we want to be so focused. In a good way, because it does. No, you never do anything. It is what we put on our own. And that's what that's what I'm saying. It's what we put into it. Not that you and Suzanne never say anything, but it's just, we know we should be doing it, and it can it is stretching, which is what you want.
That's
It's like
exactly what you want. You're not
birthing
gonna
a
stretch on your
baby.
own. You're not gonna
That's
stretch on
right.
your own. It is not gonna happen. I mean, so many people, yes, you can be internally motivated, but it's only gonna take you so far, right? So you have to be
Right.
willing to stretch yourself, and that's our goal is to stretch you guys to do some things that you wouldn't do on your own, so that you can accomplish the things you couldn't
Right.
accomplish without it.
And
Yeah.
you yourself, you're the hardest taskmaster because, like yourself, you know what you need to do. And so you are focused. That's what I meant by brutality.
Okay.
Yes, you guys, we
Yeah,
are
I didn't
evil
want
people.
people picturing, Joanne and I cracking whips. It was
No,
all-
no, no. It's self. You have such
Yeah.
there are such parameters that you want to succeed. I mean, that's how I felt. It was very good, and it was very stretching, and it was very enlightening. Very, you learn a lot about yourself when you have those challenges, if you
Yeah,
will. So,
for sure.
no, it's very kind and gentle.
Yeah. Yes. I don't have a mean bone in my body, people.
Well, yeah, no, you can edit that out if you wish. Feel free.
Oh, no.
Feel
No, I think
free.
it's you know what though, like in the beginning, we have to do things that we wouldn't normally do to get results that we never thought we could get.
Right.
I am sure that came from somebody really, really inspirational and smart, and I can't even tell you who that is, but
No,
but it
it's true.
is true, right? Like if you want to achieve success and you're only relying on everything that you will
Right.
never exceed what you could do,
Right.
Right.
right? And just like I use this a lot, I have never ever witnessed a self-made Olympian getting onto the stage who did not have a coach.
Right.
Right? Everyone who's bronze, silver, and gold has worked with a coach. They did not coach themselves and get them to the level of expertise that they are at in their field. And so it's very similar with us here, right? So that's why we're here to support you to get you to that level of expertise because it's within anybody to do. It's not like these skills are being hidden from people
Right.
that they won't be able to accomplish that. You absolutely can. Justine, were you part of the mastermind, part of the course, or both?
Both. I did both because, again,
Awesome.
it coincided last fall at the same
Yeah.
time. And
Yeah.
there was a little bit of confusion about it. But that's when I was, so excited to. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do them both.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did.
Yeah. And what was your experience as you were going through the course with Suzanne? What was helpful for you as you were going through it?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think probably the most helpful thing was just setting that daily goal. I think it was 200 words per day, or it might have been 10 minutes. I can't remember, something kind of, but anyway, that was really helpful because like once you set kind of that easy goal to make, and then you just do it, you inevitably actually go further than that. So I always did more than 200. And then it was nice because there wasn't the fear involved in it. It's just like, okay, I'm just doing this, set the timer. And then, and so then it just kind of became a habit for that time period that I was doing that. And so that was really great and helpful. And I should actually go back to that. And sometimes I do. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna, I'm not gonna worry about like what this is right now. Just get back into the habit of writing. And that is something I go back to every now and then. And I'm very motivated to go back to that right now too, after because I have kind of fallen off,
I love it. And that's why we actually offer that opportunity for people to come back, do the challenge, go through any of the core stuff again with Susanna. She has the live calls because it's changing and you get remotivated to dip your feet back in. And that's the goal is. So I think that's something that a lot of other people don't offer. Like they'll be like, oh, you have access to this course for like 3 months. And we're like, No, you have access to this course as long as we run it. Like, it doesn't go
Yeah.
anywhere. Even the live calls, come join for the live calls. Like, the more people on these calls, the better, because it drives the discussion and allows people to learn from each other and get to know other blogs that are out there, be able to support them, share blog posts and have other people have eyeballs on them. And, even if they have grammar, advice for you, you take that advice and you say, thank you. Thank you so much, because you did not have to hire an editor, right?
And one of the things, though, that I really wanted to say that I admire about Justine is that as we were going through that course and the blogging mastermind at the same time, she's like, I think I would like to start blogging in Italian. And so she can blog in both English and Italian. So how cool is that? She's the only person I've known that I've worked with who can do that in two languages. And so that is super amazing and impressive to me.
Oh, Suzanne, I hate to burst your bubble here, but I don't actually write in Italian. I just have I have another website that's called Charlie Italian stuff, and it's my Italian inspirations, because that's like another huge passion of mine is Italian, but I don't really write in Italian.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
No, but I think it's great though that you can maintain the two websites like that.
That is hard, because you're kind of flipping different personalities a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. You really are.
Yeah, no, it is. It's tricky. I'm actually going to Italy on Tuesdays for 2 weeks. So
wow.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
Oh my gosh, that'll be so much fun. Oh, I'm so
Yeah.
excited for you. That's awesome. Well, you guys can see just how blogging can benefit for you. And now it's for you to decide. Is blogging for me? Is blogging for me to, get the word out there about my business? And if it is, then you definitely want to come and join Suzanne's next class. You can click on the link that is inside of the description, and get started. And anybody who gets started before 1 o'clock today ends up getting that extra bonus of, she's actually going to look at one of your pieces and give you some feedback on your writing piece, which is invaluable for her to be able to do that for you guys. So definitely come on in and join and take her up on that. And thank you guys so much for joining us today. It's so fun being able to catch up with you and find out what you're up to, and hear about your blogs and how you repurpose your content. I mean, there's so many really awesome things happening, and I have to tell you, I love that people are now have the opportunity to find you and know that they can get started with you because you've put yourself out there. So congratulations, you guys. Just you are amazing inspirations to everyone in this community. So thanks for being you, and thanks for coming to share your story today. And thank you, Suzanne, for all that you do for our community and how you support everyone, guide them. You positively inspire them with your words of wisdom, with your kind heart, and I can't imagine what this community would be like without you. So I'm so glad that you are a part of it.
Thank you so much.
And thank you guys for joining us that are on Facebook and inside of YouTube and listening to this on podcast. Thanks for joining us today, and join us here next week for some more great content. Enjoy the rest of your day, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Cheers.